Gisela knows about sacrifice all too well. She abandoned her education, friends, and fairy tales to support her family and care for her sister. But when she jilts a wealthy suitor, Gisela is chosen for another type of sacrifice. As an offering to the goddess Bergot, Gisela and 7 others are sent on a deadly quest for a mythical crown. To return home, Gisela must overcome obstacles which darkly resemble the fairy tales she once believed. Weaving through a tapestry of friendship, romance, violence, and magic, Gisela becomes the target of an ancient evil force, while an ominous detail from the past haunts her at every turn. To what lengths will Gisela go to save the one she loves? Sometimes sacrifices must be made. Oh, hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I am your host, Jonathan Taylor. Today I am once again doing a book review, and as the title already gave away, the book in question is going to be The Crown of Bones by Rosalind Breyer. I already went through 2 of Rosalind Breyer's books in my YouTuber career so far, and this time I thought I would go right back at the beginning and look at her debut, because, why not? The TLDW for this review is the book is good. It's not groundbreaking, but still very eye-catching and interesting and engaging to read through. It has a lot of great twists and turns, both in terms of how the world itself is presented and also in how the plot itself develops. All of which is almost guaranteed to catch any reader's attention and interest. It also contains a lot of the early indicators that even at this point, as she was starting out, Rosalind Breyer was already thinking about how to connect with her audience. She was already trying to establish a rapport with her readers, which great stuff. I actually found that very interesting to read through. For those of you who want a more in-depth review, well, that's what the rest of this video's runtime is for. The plot of this book follows Gisela, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, as she goes on a quest to retrieve this mythical crown. She is one of 8 people chosen from within the valley community she resides in. And over the course of her quest, she encounters a whole series of obstacles and challenges that she and her party have to overcome using their intellect and fortitude. There is somewhat of a prologue establishing her background and the relationships that she is forced to give up or sacrifice, as the book's synopsis puts it. But the rest of the book is pretty much a raw, pure adventure story. Towards the end of the book, it is revealed that some higher powers are actually engineering all of the obstacles that the party encounters. However, discussing those higher powers would go a little bit too far into spoilers for my own personal interest. So I'm just gonna mention it and move on to the next part of this review. And that next part addresses a very simple question. What makes this book stand out? What do I think it does particularly well? And in typical Rosalind fashion, the answer to that question is a lot. I'm going to start with the world building and move from a small scale to the large scale. A small scale starts with everything surrounding the protagonist herself. Her living conditions, her situation within the community, as well as her own attitudes and interests towards the general goings on, and in general her connections towards these aspects of her background, which are done quite well. and they do help flesh out what this what this valley community is actually supposed to be, what it is that they um, what it is that they actually follow or are actually interested in, what it is that they've established themselves around. It doesn't stay for long, but it leaves a lasting impression, that gets strengthened later on over the course of this book, when characters are reminiscing about their their backgrounds, about their interests, and about what it is that they want to see when they return from their quest, from their expedition. On a larger scale, this book is quite adeptly displays these higher powers that I've been talking about, and exactly how they influence the valley community in which these characters grew up, and also reveals their capabilities and their interests, and how all of these aspects shape various sections, various parts of the world as it is being presented. And yeah, all of it marches in the tune of the plot, and makes for a very interesting experience, both for the readers and for the characters. And speaking of the characters, this is another they represent another high point of this book, for some quite obvious reasons. Not all of them get to the same amount of page time. However, Rosalind does not waste a single word when it comes to describing them and giving them their own distinctive attributes and mannerisms. I particularly appreciate that they all have some degree of sympathy or relatability. Not all of them are purely virtuous or purely despicable. The dialogue in this story also helps quite a bit, particularly when there are a lot of characters from between which lines can bounce off, and it really gives a better, broader perspective about who these people are and what their interests are, what it is that they choose to focus upon or follow up on. The main exception to that, strangely enough, is actually between Gisela. It actually revolves around the kind of the can't talk anymore. The main exception to the what I just said about dialogue mainly revolves around Gisela and her love interest, which is quite ironic when you consider the fact that Rosalind dedicated this book to her husband. That being said, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that the romance that this story showcases is bad per se, or that Gisela and her love interest don't have any chemistry whatsoever, because they do in fact have chemistry, and they are an interesting couple. However, their relationship includes a lot of unnecessary drama, because somehow Rosalind thought that these characters being stuck on a deadly quest wasn't dramatic enough. The first half of this book revolves around the will they won't they drama, and then the second half of this book revolves around will a deceased former acquaintance of ours approve of our relationship, or would a deceased former acquaintance of ours approve of our relationship drama, which, to be fair, I acknowledge that the drama in the second half would emerge or would be a talking point. However, I don't see why it would be mentioned as often as the book mentions it. So yeah. And yeah, that was very displeasing to me, and it really took me out of the story. Even though I think all three characters that discussed in relation to this drama are are actually interesting. Thankfully, the plotting does a lot to mend that that particular shortcoming. There are, because as I said, there are lots of very varied obstacles which test Giselle and her party in a variety of different ways, and really highlight what it is that defines not just them, but also the world around them. The plotting is very intricately, one could say, interwoven with the with the world building, and therefore each new twist and turn of the plot also reveals a new twist and turn with regards to the world, and ultimately changes not just the stakes of the story, but also how the story itself is supposed to unfold. Yeah, you're starting out reading a relatable book with a strong emotional conflict, and then you end up reading a quite I actually didn't script that, so I have to piece this together. So you start out with a very simple book with a very basic emotional conflict, and then you discover a very complex book, but it still relies on that emotional core, and still knows how to present itself to where it is both grand but relatable. And yeah, I can't help but admire that. Overall, while I think some of the steps this book takes are a little shaky, the overall presentation assures for a very eye-catching, very engaging read. One that is sure to attract the attention of all those who are interested in it. My final rating for The Crown of Bones is a 4 out of 5. And that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, then please leave a like. Maybe even share this video wherever you think other people will like it as well. If you have anything you'd like to add to any part of my review, well, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. Ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. My own debut novel, Heir to the Empire Next Generation, is available at most major book retailers under a master link in the description down below, right past my social media, which I also suggest you check out should you choose to do so. Until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been The Heir's Lair.